Hello and welcome to Studio Nicole. I am Nicole. I am so happy that you're here with me today. I am taking a few minutes to flip through my vacation journal from last summer. This is Kentucky and Tennessee 2024. It is a handmade journal, and I will discuss a little bit about like how I made it, how I created the pages, what I used in it, and then I'll flip through and I'll show you some of the pictures and talk about my trip while I'm doing it. So if you enjoy travel journaling or reviewing, other people's travel journals, welcome, and I hope you have a great time. That's kind of a weird thing to say. I don't know what else to say. I hope you enjoy this video. There you go. That one makes sense. Um, Okay, so first of all, this is a handmade journal. The covers are hard plastic. I talked about this a little bit in my travel journal like overview because all of my travel journals are a little bit different. Um, but I wanted to go into a little bit more detail about this one. I picked up this weird, it looks like it was it was at a Goodwill, at a like a bin Goodwill shop, like where you pay by the pound. And these plastic things were all like linked together in a big long thing. And it looks like it was like a display. It had pieces like examples of things on it. You can see it's like dressers, headboards, serving trays, cabinets. So these are like finishes, right? Natural rust, antique copper, whatever. So these are really hard plastic. So I took two of them and just covered them with like collage paper. I just glued paper down and then I punched out where the holes were already. Punched through the paper that I collaged. And then I used like book clips, right? Like the round, I'm sure there's a word for these that it's just not coming to me. Um, I did have a set of like copper colored ones on here or like darker brown bronzy ones that looked better with this book, but these green ones are a thinner ring and they work better with like the actual journal itself. So I switched them out because the heavier duty book rings were making me a little bit crazy and the book wouldn't open and close smoothly. Um so yeah, for right now we have the green ones in here. I don't necessarily love them aesthetically, but they are more functional, so they'll do the job for now. Uh, Although I say that, and now they're not. They don't seem like they're working particularly well. Of course, on camera. Anyway, okay. So the cover, I don't remember. I think this might have been like a scrapbook page, and I just cut out "Happiness is this." And glued it down. And then I used some stickers to put Kentucky and Tennessee 24 on here. Um, so the pages are, I'm gonna bring this down a little bit. Sorry, I'm kind of all over the place today. Let me get you a little bit closer so you can see. Okay, that's better. So the pages are just a variety of different kinds of paper. Some of them are two-sided scrapbook papers. Some of them are just pages out of a notebook that I rounded the corners and measured out and punched the holes so that they would just snap right in. I have different kinds of notebook paper punched. Some of the pages I have distressed the edges to kind of match. I did use some brochures and things and some scrapbook paper, but ahead of time, I put the book together. I put a few pages in already, and then I put in some strips of paper. I don't know if I have any left. Yeah. So I put in some strips of paper like this. These were like the pages that I cut off, or the parts of the pages that I cut off in some places. Some of these are just strips that came off of other scrapbook papers or other papers that I just had strips sort of laying around. Anyway, I put these in here so that I could hole punch them and attach things to them and then put them in. So you'll see that there are some postcards, and the postcard is just glued to this strip of paper, and the strip of paper has the hole punches, and then it fits into the book. So that's kind of a variety of different pages and things that I use. I guess I need to fix this. I did create the book ahead of time, or the journal itself ahead of time, and then I took a journal kit with me when I actually went on the trip. So this was the journal kit that I took. I think it's a 31 bag from a few years ago. I had like scissors, glue, and pens in here. I had a couple of travel washi tapes and some inks. And I had a whole bunch of different travel like stickers, word stickers, letter stickers. There's just a variety of different things. There's some labels, some papers that I could have used but didn't. Washi tapes, more paper strips. Stickers. I tried to go through and pick stickers that I think are gonna go with the journal or that are travel themed. So it wasn't yeah, there's my little anyway. So there wasn't a lot in here, but there was a little bit, and this fits right in the kit. So that was the whole thing. That was it. That was my whole little travel kit I took with me. And then while I was there, I could do some writing, I could do some like journaling and what have you, and I could tuck things in to the journal. So we started out on our way to Kentucky. It was quite a drive for us, but um, we were kind of we were stopping in two places. We were going to Kentucky for a couple of days. I think it was like 3 days, 2 nights, 3 days, something like that, or 3 nights and 4 days. And then we were going on to Tennessee. So the first leg of the trip was Kentucky. We went to the Red River Gorge geological area. The reason really that we went to this particular place of all the places that we could have gone was because I wanted to do the Via Ferrata climb at the Red River Gorge. And that's kind of the whole story. I actually wanted to do the Via Ferrata climb in West Virginia at Nelson Rocks, and uh, that one is a hard. It's like it's rated as like a difficult climb, and I had never done a Via Ferrata climb before, so I wanted one that would give me a little bit of practice before I went to West Virginia. And so we found this place in Kentucky. Um, Kind of skipping ahead a little bit, I guess, but I want to give you some backstory for the trip itself. We found this place, Southeast Mountain Guides in Red River Gorge in Kentucky, that offered a Via Ferrata climb that had like levels. So you could start out at level 1, then you could move on to level 2, then you could move on to level 3. It went all the way up to level 6, and it got progressively harder as you went. So my kids, who at the time were 18 and 20, were willing to do this Via Ferrata climb with me. This one at Southeast Mountain Guides, because it started out kind of like a beginner level and then it got progressively harder, that gave them the opportunity to sort of like tap out when they were done. So they were willing to come with me, and we did it like I call it a practice climb. It really was a hard climb. I mean, there's quite a story that goes along with it, but basically, I wanted to do this one first just to get a sense of what Via Ferrata climbing was like and what kind of skill set I would need, because 3 or 4 weeks after this climb, I went on another trip to West Virginia with a friend of mine and my sister, and I tackled the harder climb. So this was the whole kind of reason why we stopped in Kentucky on the way to Tennessee. We probably could have done the whole trip in Tennessee, but I really wanted to try this climb, so we detoured to Kentucky. So that's the long story behind why we ended up in Kentucky, of all random places. So we went to Kentucky. I did include the map. This just came out of one of the tourist guides. Like I always try to request like a state tourism guide in the mail ahead of time. So I have like, let me see if I can find it. Okay, so I was able to find the vacation guides. Just to give you a sense, this is the Kentucky 2024 Visitors Guide, and oh, the glare, I'm sorry. And this one is Tennessee Official 2024 Vacation Guide. So you can usually go online and request these and have them mailed to you ahead of time, and then I will use, like you can see, I've cut out some stuff. I will use pages and captions and things from this area. I mean, from these guides to sort of help me build my travel materials. So that's just an example. You also can, of course, pick up. I mean, I have tons of stuff. These are my state park and the maps and, you know, just anything that I can pick up that's paper, I will pick up, and then I can use whatever I need when I'm making my journal. So it gives me a lot of options and a lot of things that are sort of themed for the area where I'm going. So I used a map, a state map from a tourism guide, and I marked the area where we would be staying with a little geotag. It obviously didn't fit on the page, so I backed it with another map and then did this like fancy little fold so that it kind of folds in and fits on the page. I included our route. 9 hours and 29 minutes is what it said, but it ended up being, way longer than that, of course, because we had to stop and what have you along the way. Some pictures of our the states that we went through, some information about the actual trip itself. I just wrote like the time we left, the time we arrived. It ended up being 13 hours in the car, 3 restroom breaks, 2 gas stops, 1 missed exit. Um, we played. I don't know if you can see this very well. This is the problem with using my own little printed photos instead of big photos. It's hard to see. But we played packing Tetris to try and get everything packed in the back of the Jeep. Um, this is my son who was driving. He had either just turned 18. Yeah, I think he had just turned 18 because this trip was like the week after his birthday or something. So he had just turned 18. So we let him drive, and I am very much a nervous passenger. I'm okay when I'm driving and in charge, but when somebody else is driving, particularly my 18-year-old son, it just makes me super nervous to be going like 75 miles an hour down the interstate. Um, yeah, so I sort of clutched the door handle and um, I had to breathe very intentionally through a lot of the trip because he wanted to drive, wanted to give him a chance to drive. So he and I took turns driving. We did take a wrong turn in West Virginia. Um, I wrote about it. I have this little folded up sheet here and wrote about the whole detour. Google told us to go right out of the gas station when we clearly had come from the left. And, sometimes on the highways, like the exit and the entrance are in different places. So we thought, okay, we'll go right. But it ended up taking us like 45 minutes up a mountain on these tiny, tiny little back roads, clearly residential area, really only wide enough for one car. So, like, meeting another vehicle coming the other way was dicey. Um, we couldn't, yeah, it was quite the adventure. My son was driving while this was all happening, and yeah, it was fun. But I thought that this page out of one of the travel journals was very, very accurate. So I cut this out. I backed it with some paper. I put some pictures on here, and yeah. I kind of journaled about the detour. This is a little bit of journaling about the cabin where we stayed. It was really nice. Like it was nice and it was clean, but it didn't feel super homey. Like there were lots of little things that were just missing. Um, so I ended up this is a this is my grocery or my shopping list. I ended up going to like the next town over to a Dollar General in order to buy a few things, like a fan because it was way too hot, even with the air on in the rental place. It was just um super hot. So I needed a fan and a nightlight for the bathroom and a couple other little things. Anyway, this is my journal kit. So you can see me kind of spread out on the table in the morning, journaling a little bit at the cabin where we were staying. Um, it's like recursive. Like this is the journal in the journal, and now I'm filming it in another picture. So it's like recursion here. Um, Yeah, everybody in my family, they're all typically night owls, except maybe my youngest son. But for the most part, they all stay up very late and then they want to sleep in the morning. And I wouldn't say I'm a morning person, but I am more of a morning person than they are. So I had, time to get up and kind of spend a little bit of time to myself being creative before everybody got up. So this is the brochure for the Southeast Mountain Guides for the Via Ferrata climb. I just stuck a bunch of stickers on it that are related to, adventure and what have you. Um, this is the information about, how much it costs to go and whatever. And then these are some pictures of us from the trip. So that's me and my kids. That is one of my favorite pictures from the day where they are climbing along the rock wall. And here's some more pictures. That's me. That is my son. And well, those are both of my sons. So, a via ferrata climb is when you are clipped into a harness and you have these cables that are like attached to the rock wall. And then in some places there are little metal rungs. I know it's kind of hard to see in this picture, but they look like giant staples, kind of in the wall where you can put your feet. And then, you are sort of like climbing along the edge of the wall using the rungs and the cables to keep yourself attached so that you don't fall. I was fascinated by it. I thought it was fantastic. I really wanted to do it. And like I said, the kids were willing to do this one with me because, it started out at a beginner level and then it got harder. And I think they were willing to, jump in at that level. They did not want to do the hard one with me at Nelson Rocks, which is why I ended up going on that trip with a friend of mine who was willing and crazy enough to go with me. I did make a Facebook post, a really long Facebook post when I posted the pictures. I'm not going to read it to you, but if you want to if you want to pause the tape and read the whole thing, I'll try and make sure it's on the screen. It really just basically covers the highlights, which I'm going to talk about anyway. This was just a strip of paper with the postcard attached to it. So one thing that I always do when I go on vacation is I take postcards, or I get postcards while I'm there if I can, and then we all write on them. So every night or every couple of days, I will have everybody write a sentence or two about what we've been doing, and then I mail it home. I actually buy postcard stamps, put an envelope or put an address on it and put it in the mail. And that way when we get home over the next like week or two, we get all of the postcards from our trip. They're fun little souvenirs. They've gone through the mail. They're paper, which makes me super happy. And I get to see like what my kids thought of different things. I get to go back and read their notes about our trips in their own handwriting, which is kind of fun. And some trips are, easier, excuse me, easier to write about. Like sometimes there's more to say than other trips. But it's always fun. It's always fun. So I wrote, climbing the Via Ferrata was phenomenal. What a cool experience. 10 out of 10. The natural bridge was beautiful, but shoo, that hike up. And those flies. Yeah, that's coming later in the book, but we did get bit by some flies pretty bad. Um, I believe this was my husband who wrote, everything is neat, period. So, a man of few words. Da, 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 da. Almost fell off the mountain, and helping with mom's heat stroke was cool, having fun. That was my youngest son, just looking at the handwriting. That I'll tell you that story in a minute too. And I had a lot of fun climbing the mountain. It was super cool. Climbing the mountain didn't fall, with a little sketch of a man falling off a mountain. So those were the notes from the first day. I included additional pictures just on a trail map. So that is me. With my hands up. It says I'd rather be climbing, which is absolutely true. So here are the fun parts of the story. This is me just standing on the edge on one of those little clips. And then this is me a little bit later with one shoe on because, of course, I lost a shoe partway along the course. And I had to finish climbing with one shoe and one sock, which is much harder than it seems, particularly because I have plantar fasciitis and I really have a lot of trouble with my feet, and I have to have like arch support and special socks, and it's a whole thing. Um, so yeah, this was a really tough moment for me. And not long after this happened, I also got heat stroke. It was, I don't know if heat stroke is right. Heat exhaustion, I guess, is probably the right term. I did put some information here about heat exhaustion. I don't know if you can see that. I don't know if it's focusing well enough. But yeah, I was about 100 feet up, clipped into the course, and it was like 95 degrees. And I think losing my shoe while I was up there, I think I just got like a little bit panicky, and the adrenaline was too much, and I started to feel like I was going to pass out. So I had to like put the safety emergency clip in and like sit down on a rock, and I poured the rest of my water over my head, and yeah, I managed. I survived. The boys had already gone ahead of me, and they were off of the route, so they like found my shoe and managed to like throw it up to me, on a series of like little ledges, and I was able to get my shoe back on, and I was able to like get myself back together. But it was a lot. But we still went back after lunch and finished climbing. We climbed more. We did levels 2 and 3 after that. So, I didn't let it stop me. It was quite an interesting experience. So I filled out the Epic meter from one of my little, you know, one of those little like fill in notebook things. I grabbed some of those to put in here, and I just attached it on the back of like a strip of paper. Ooh, something like this. Um, Filled in some more journaling. This is a panoramic photo of the Horseshoe Canyon where we were climbing. So we were climbing all along this rock ledge here. We like it was like level 1, level 2, and then level 3 I think comes all the way around to over here. And that was as far as we got. I still want to come back and do 4, 5, and 6, which are the harder, more technical levels. Someday. That's in my future. So that was the morning of the first day that we were there. And then later that afternoon, we came back and did some hiking with my husband because he was not about to do any of the climbing. That's not his bag. So later that afternoon, we did go see the Natural Bridge State Resort Park, and we hiked the Natural Bridge and Laurel Ridge Trail Loop. So I included that information here about the trail. Um, I did fall at one point. Like I lost my footing. It wasn't hard, it wasn't like bad, but I lost. You can see that the map, you probably can't see. You can see the map is all like smushed up and wrinkled, and there's like dirt smeared into it. Because I landed on the hand that was holding the map and kind of went sliding along the rocky ground with the map. Um, Luckily I wasn't really hurt. I kind of scraped up my palm. You know how it gets like abraded and whatnot, but it wasn't bad. It was not a big deal. So some pictures of the bridge and my husband and the boys sitting on top of the natural bridge. It was really pretty. Here's another postcard. It got kind of damaged in the mail. I don't know if you can see there's like scrapes and stuff all over it. So I just stuck a sticker over top of it that says adventure is out there. But then again, so are bugs. Um, this was there were a lot of biting flies here on this hike. And even with the bug spray that we brought, it was definitely the worst part of that hike. It was there were lots of them and it was really frustrating. Um So another postcard, more notes. I might come back to it because it kind of talks about the stuff that's coming up. The second day, we went zip lining in the morning. Me and both the boys did the Red River Gorge zip line, which is, I think it's like 2,000 feet. Yeah. 2,000 feet. The longest line is 1,900 feet. Sorry, 1,900 feet across the gorge. So there's pictures of us in our gear and all geared up and ready to go. And there's a picture of them. There's Austin on one side and Evan on the other side. They were like on the racing lines, which going like across the gorge. And it was absolutely beautiful. I did try to take video like while I was going and it just didn't work. I tried it like 3 different times and it was like the universe just kept intervening to say, no, you will not videotape this. Um, in the afternoon, my youngest son and I went to, gosh, what was it called? It'll come to me in just a second. We were going kayaking in an underground flooded limestone mine. And my oldest son was out. He was like, no, thank you. So he went back to the cabin and hung out there for a while Evan and I did the kayaking. This is kind of a picture of us like walking in, and it was very dark until you got down to like where they were actually launching the kayaks, and there was some light down there. And I have to tell you, I am not afraid of heights at all, but I am claustrophobic. So this walk into this walk in was a lot. I was definitely breathing intentionally. I actually have so this is from the socks that we bought for the trip. They recommended wool socks for this because you would get like really cold. And I'm so glad that I brought them actually because they really did help. And so I clipped in the packaging from the socks that I bought. Um, this is the Gorge Underground kayak tours. So that's kind of a picture of all of us kayaking. That is me in my kayak. Um, and there's a picture of Evan in his kayak. The kayaks they were clear kayaks and they had lights in them so you could see down into the water. There were some fish in some areas. It was pretty neat. It was a really cool experience. So that pretty much concluded our trip to Kentucky. And then so I guess it was just 2 days. And then anyway, after that we went to Tennessee. So um we we went to a place called Dunlap, Tennessee. Technically Cagle Mountain, which is just outside of Dunlap, north of Dunlap. We own a parcel of land there, 6 acres of land, undeveloped, on a mountain, and it's just an area of the country where it's beautiful and it's quiet and we love it. Um, we might not own that land for much longer though. The cost of building these days is like so crazy that we really aren't going to be able to develop it at all in the foreseeable future. So it looks like we're gonna try and sell it and maybe buy something that already has some property. It's like a house or something on it, a cabin or something. Anyway, um, so yeah, so we went to Dunlap. There is a cabin right next door to the land that we own that is beautiful, and so we rent it a couple of times, or every couple of years we go down and hang out there. So there's a map with a tag. There's some information. It was 4 hours and 17 minutes from the Kentucky place. This is a cardboard packaging from a big pan that I had to buy, um, and a picture of homemade chicken and noodles that I made when we got to the cabin in Tennessee. It was a great comfort food dinner after our long drive. Um, my husband and son have celiac disease, and so when we travel, we usually do stay in a like an Airbnb or a VRBO, place somewhere that has a kitchen, and we travel with our own like pots and pans, utensils and whatnot, and we usually grocery shop wherever we go. Um, just because we have to make sure that we have food that is safe for them to eat, and eating out is very hit or miss, especially depending on where we are, like in the country. So yeah, so we had to, I did bring a large pan in Kentucky. It got ruined and I ended up trying to scrape it out, but I couldn't. And so I ended up throwing it away and not even packing it on the way to Tennessee. Instead, we just bought a new pan. And then Austin decided that he wanted spaghetti, and we didn't have a pot big enough. So then I bought a new pot, and then we had to buy a colander, and so on and so forth. So yeah, this is our receipt from our grocery shopping in Tennessee at the Walmart. Some pictures from the cabin. This is our elevation. These are some pictures of us staying there. We love this cabin. We've been back. This was our third time here, and we just love it. It's so comfortable and it's very relaxing. This is a picture of my older son playing on an Etch-a-Sketch. I remember posting this picture on Facebook with the caption, "These kids and their screen time." Um, you know, this was a really cool picture of us like walking down the lane outside the cabin, and the sun was behind us, and it was just a neat shadow picture. It made me happy. Some journaling about how much I enjoy the cabin. There's a postcard. I don't have any postcards from Dunlap, so these were just some like vintage botanical postcards. It says being here in Tennessee in our cabin. It's not really our cabin. Feels like being home. I love it here so much. It's comfortable and relaxing, from the comfy couch and beds to the big shower to the sauna and the fire pit and the fully stocked kitchen. It's so easy to relax here. It really does feel like a luxury. It's just a beautiful place to go. Um, Trust me, I don't have a sauna and a fully stocked fire pit or anything at my house. So, that's what makes vacation so much fun. Um, every morning in the sauna, it's really nice here. Da, 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 da. Had a lot of fun and enjoyed doing nothing. I'm not going to read all of that. It's tiny little writing and it's giving me a headache. So, I was really excited. I love to like identify trees and things. So there are pear trees and apple trees and peach trees and crabapple and oak and maple and sassafras. That's what I was able to identify on the property. This is a picture of apples that I cut out. This is one of the leaves from one of the trees that I burnished with gold and attached it to um, to an envelope. These I used actual leaves from the trees that I picked, and I used the distress ink and the pouncer tool to kind of create these silhouettes on the envelopes. Um, there's a picture of all of us in the cabin. This is us around the fire pit at night, sitting around just chatting. It really is nice to just relax. Like, I am an adventurer. When I go on vacation, I want to like be going like 100 miles an hour. But this trip in particular, the last couple, like we were going while we were in Kentucky, and then when we got to Tennessee, we were able to like slow it way down and relax, and I needed that. Um, this is Cane Creek Overlook. This is a panoramic photo. You see the boys kind of standing in the middle there, and then the falls are down at that end, kind of going down. Um, I have the map from Tennessee State Parks. This is where we were. Cane Creek, Cascades, and Suspension Bridge. We did go across the Suspension Bridge and then kind of walked down the river to be able to see like the where the overlook was. We did go around and go look from the overlook side as well, but anyway. Um that's the Suspension Bridge. My husband does not like heights, and so he walked across the Suspension Bridge, and then once he found out that we had to walk back, he was like, "Oh hell no." And so he hiked across the riverbed underneath the bridge going back. That's him like waving up at me from below because he was like, "Yeah, I'm not doing that again." So we did get some really beautiful pictures. I think this picture might be from the overlook, potentially, maybe, perhaps. Um, the boys did do a little stone stacking, but there were lots of these scattered throughout the riverbed already. The water was really low. Like you can see here, it looks like just a trickle where you could imagine it being like a full cascade at some future point. But yeah, when we were there, the water level was super low and we were able to walk right out into the riverbed. So this is a family picture of us. And then I zoomed in on David making a funny face. Because his sense of humor is what keeps us going sometimes. Here's another panoramic picture sitting kind of right on the edge. You can see like right here is where the water kind of goes over. And then, oof, if you get really close, there are people down there like swimming at the bottom of the waterfall. And then we've got Evan walking in the thing here, and then my husband over here. It was really cool. It was super cool. Like it would have been really pretty with the water at full blast, but because the water was so low, we could like walk right to the edge and it felt really safe and it was very cool. It was just a neat experience. I have a little piece of vellum clipped in here. This is the Fall Creek Falls State Park map. Blah 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 blah. Sorry. King Creek Falls is in this state park, so that's why that map is there. This is the boys working on one of their stacked stone things. It's kind of neat to see them like hanging out together. They have such different interests that, they don't often do the same types of things. So it's always fun on vacation when you get to see them, sort of just being brothers. We like that. There's a This picture looks photoshopped, but I promise I was just standing there in the riverbed. And then, of course, I always have to take my shoes off and put my feet in the water because I'm you know, whatever. It's a thing that I like to do. I was getting ready to say I'm a wood elf, which is like a D&D joke, I guess. But I don't know. I like to be one with nature. This is a takeaway menu from the restaurant in Dunlap where Evan and I went and had dinner one night. David and Austin stayed back because of the celiac disease. They just made dinner and hung back at the cabin. I have a this is obviously from caffeine-free Pepsi case of Pepsi. This is like I enjoy Pepsi as a soda, but I can't handle the caffeine past like noon, maybe 2 o'clock in the afternoon. I can push it, but if I have caffeine late in the day, then I am up all night. So I drink caffeine-free Pepsi just to avoid the caffeine entirely, and it did not exist anywhere in Dunlap. Like it wasn't at any of the stores. It wasn't at Walmart. It wasn't at Dollar General. It wasn't anywhere. Like I was like, holy cow. So I ended up drinking probably just water or possibly ginger ale, maybe. Um, Same thing when I was in uh Amsterdam. There's no caffeine-free Pepsi there either. I hate Monopoly, but we did play a game of Monopoly. That's an actual picture of our playing board that's kind of cut off here. I put a little pocket here with a Monopoly dollar in it just for fun. Um, I typically hate playing Monopoly. It's not my favorite game, but the boys love it and David loves it, so I we played. It wasn't terrible. These are pictures of our land. This is kind of like our part of the, along this lane here. This is like our section of property. um, we did meet with somebody while we were there to talk about like what it would look like for us to put something on the land. So we did get some contact information and get some pricing and some next steps. I just don't think at this point that it's something we're going to be able to do. But we did do that. We played some Tennessee lottery while we were in Tennessee. I've got the lottery tickets there. That's a picture of the sauna that's on property. Some pictures of just from around town. It's like a mural on the side of a building, a picture of Goodwill because I love to thrift shop, especially when I travel. I like to see what I can get. So this actually is a little pocket that I haven't put anything into. I just made it with two, it looks like time cards, and some washi tape. There is the welcome to Dunlap sign, and this is the view as you're heading up Cagle Mountain towards, like we're up here on this mountain somewhere. Maybe farther back than that. I don't know. But yeah, that's the view as you're heading up the mountain. We live we live in like completely flat land, so mountains are just fascinating to me. One thing that we did find was we scorpions. We had no, excuse the profanity here, but we had no idea that there were scorpions in. I mean, I don't know. I just didn't think about it, right? So we found a scorpion in the cabin, and my husband in particular was just completely blown away. He was like, "I had no idea there were scorpions in Tennessee." He still says that to me sort of randomly, and it's been a year since our trip, and he'll be like, "Scorpions." These are our playlist songs from the trip. These were the two songs. I don't know if you can read it. It's a bar song by Shabuzi and You're Too Sweet for Me. Actually, it's probably just Too Sweet is the title, right? By Hosier. Um, One thing that I do notice when we're on a road trip with the family is that the music that is like, constantly cycling through on the radio, it then kind of becomes like the soundtrack for that trip, right? I'll still hear a song sometimes on the radio today and I'll be like, "Oh my gosh, that's a Florida song or that's a Tennessee song." It's just interesting, how that works. So it looks like I have a couple blank pages here. I haven't done anything really about this. I did want to write about Dollar General just because it was so prevalent down in Kentucky and Tennessee. There were so many Dollar Generals. They're everywhere. And they really do kind of serve as like the general store for the area. Like you can get everything there. And so I was gonna to do a little bit of journaling about that. I mean, we have Dollar Generals here where I am too, but they're just not as common. They're just here and there. They're just like. Um We did stop at Bucky's on the way back, which is like a cultural phenomenon. And we had never been to a Bucky's. We don't have any of these near us at all. So we did have to make a stop at a Bucky's, and it was interesting. I mean, they do have nice bathrooms. There was a lot of stuff. I don't know that I would make a trip just for a Bucky's, but it was an interesting place to stop on the way back. I did get these. This is just paper. This is a photocopy, but I did get some Christmas ornaments. So, and then I photocopied them. And that's it. That is pretty much, oh, the end. Well, this is us coming back over the Bay Bridge. This is the sunrise. Is it the sunrise? Yeah, because we drove overnight to come back. My husband works, nights, so he's used to driving night anyway, or being up at night. And so, yeah, so that's the sunrise while we were coming across the Bay Bridge, coming home. And so, ta-da! That is, um, you know, a, a lot of chatting about our trip and about this journal, and how I travel journal. And I hope that it has been inspiring for you. If you have your own travel journal, I would love to hear your ideas. Tell me what you include. Tell me where you've been. I love to like chat to people about their travels and about their journaling. So please feel free in the comments to let me know about your own travel like memory keeping process. Thanks for coming along today on this journey, and I will see you in the next video.